Hello, good morning everyone. This is MES Rao from Meluha Technologies. Everybody is worried about how to prepare for their forthcoming competitive examinations. For this, Meluha Technologies have planned a very good program of conducting video lessons and classes discussing the problems of different topics in different subjects. I am a mathematics faculty. Today I am going to discuss about some topics of mathematics. Today's topic is sets and relations and functions, and I wish all of you to make the best use of it and utilize the opportunity properly, sitting at home and prepare well. Best wishes for your preparation. Let us start the first question here in the relations and functions. The first one is, if the set of factors, first one is the set of factors of a natural number n is given by f of n where 1 is not included, where 1 is not included, and f of 16 intersection f of 40 is equal to f of x, then what is the value of x? This is the question. Now if you observe the factors of 16, the solution, if you observe factors of 16 are, you have, now we know that it is given that 1 is not included, so factors of 16 are 2, 4, 8 and 16. Similarly, factors of 40 are 2, 4, 5, 8, 20 and 40. Now we have intersection here. Now in the intersection part, what are common? You see here, 2 is common, 4 is common and 8 is common. Therefore, the f of 16 intersection f of 40 is equal to, the set is 2, 4, 8, and this is nothing but these are the factors of f of 8. Therefore, our answer is x is equal to 8. Okay. F of 8 is equal to 2, 4, 8, and the answer for this question is x is equal to 8, and which is the second option given in your question bank. Let us move on to the second question, where here it is the graphical method which we use in this question to solve this easily. Now the question is, the question number 7 in your question bank. So what is given? Question 2, it is given if the sets A comma B are given by and A is equal to set of all ordered pairs x comma y, such that y is equal to e power x and x belongs to R. Y is equal to e power x and x belongs to R, and B is equal to set of all x comma y such that y is equal to x where x belongs to R. So these two sets are given, and the question is, what is the then which of the following options are true? The first one is B is a subset of A. The second option being A is a subset of B. The third option being A intersection B is equal to null set, and the fourth option given is A is a proper subset of B. Proper subset means it is completely contained in B. 1 is completely inside B. Now here, if you observe the set A, according to this, y is equal to e power x. So the set A graphically can be represented as the graph of y is equal to e power x. And the set B is the graph of the straight line y is equal to x. And you know very well, y is equal to x is a straight line passing through origin. Now e power x, we all know e power x is an exponential function, and the graph for any real number completely lies above x-axis. Completely lies above x-axis. Now if you see, limit x tends to minus infinity, e power x is equal to 0, and limit x tends to infinity, e power x is equal to infinity. And in view of this, also what do you have? E power 0 is equal to 1. So e power x graph passes through 0, 1. When x is 0, y is equal to 1. It cuts the y-axis at 1. And now if you draw the graph, these two, the set A and set B, if you draw, this is origin, this is negative x-axis, this is positive x-axis, positive y-axis, negative y-axis. Here you have minus infinity, plus infinity, and so on. And here, now e power x graph is asymptotic to x-axis. And how? Where it passes through? It passes through 0, 1. This is the value, y is equal to 1. And if you see the graph of e power x, this is the graph. Y is equal to e power x. And now what is the set B? It is y is equal to x. The graph which passes through origin and bisects the third quadrant and first quadrant. And if you see, this is the graph of y is equal to x, making 45 degrees with the x-axis and the y-axis. This is y is equal to x. Now here, according to the options, whether A is a subset of B, B is a subset of A, or A and B intersect or not is asked. Now if you see, intersection means the both the graphs should intersect. Now here you see, none of the points are common to both of the graphs. So here we observe A intersection B is a null set because there is no common point to both the graphs. So here the right option is option 3. Got it? The right option is option 3 because the two graphs have no point in common. Right? So this is about the sets. The first two questions what we have discussed is about the sets. Now the next topic is about the relations. In relations, you know very well, we have different concepts. One is a symmetric relation, a reflexive relation, and a transitive relation. If a relation satisfies all the three properties, it is said to be equivalence relation. Now let us discuss few problems on relations. Okay, now the question number 18 in your question bank, that is the next question which I am going to discuss now. The question number 18. Okay. Now here you see what is given in that question number 18. Now the question is, let R is equal to given 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 3, and 3, 1 be a relation. Okay, be a relation on the set A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. On the set A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Then he is asking about R is 1 not symmetric. Okay, not symmetric, and 2 symmetric, and 3 transitive, and 4 equivalence relation. Transitive and 4 equivalence relation. Okay, now let us see what is this equivalence relation are symmetric, transitive and reflexive. Now if an element is related to itself, it is called a reflexive relation. If an element, say, related to itself, here if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, element related to itself means ordered pairs 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 must be there in this set. Then we say it is reflexive. Similarly, symmetric relation means if 1, 3 is there, 3, 1 must be there. Then we say that it is a symmetric relation. And transitive means if A is related to B, B is related to C, then if A is related to C, we say it is a transitive relation. And if all the three are satisfied, we say that it is a equivalence relation. Now coming to this relation, here if you see 1 is related to 3, 3 is related to 1, but 1 is not related to 1. Okay, here if you see not symmetric, 1, 3 is there, 3, 1 is there, so it is symmetric, 4, 2 is there, 2, 4 is there, it is symmetric, but 2, 3 is there, 3, 2 is not there, so it is not symmetric. So not symmetric. Now here if you see 1, 3, 3, 1, 1 is not there, therefore it is not transitive. Similarly, if you see 2, 3, 3, 1 is there, then 2, 1 is not there, it is not transitive. So here he is asking, then the relation is what? Not transitive. Okay, it is not transitive. Therefore, here we have what? Since 4, 2, 2, 3 belong to R, but 4, 3 does not belong to R, hence it is not transitive. Hence it is not transitive. Okay, hence it is not transitive. So here what is he asking? See, not symmetric, a transitive, a function and a reflexive. So it is not transitive. That is the answer. So let us see here the other aspects of the relation. The other aspects of the relation. So here not symmetric, sorry, I wrote the options wrong, not symmetric, then here it is a function, it is a function, and then it is reflexive is asking, it is reflexive is asking, reflexive. So here if you see, it is not symmetric is wrong because 4, 2, 2, 4 are there, 1, 3, 3, 1 are there. So, but 2, 3, 3, 2 is not there, so it is not symmetric, it is true. So, function, it is not a function because 2 has 2 images, it is not a function, and it is not reflexive because 1, 1, so it is not transitive is the answer. So, here in this set, so the relation R is not symmetric. Now coming to this, how to decide what type of relation it is. Now if you consider A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. How many reflexive relations are possible? How many transitive relations are possible? How many symmetric relations are possible? Or on the whole, how many equivalence relations are possible if you see? So here, if I take any set of 4 elements, consider the matrix. So if we write the matrix 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4. Consider this 4 by 4 matrix. Now in this matrix, if I want a relation to be reflexive, you see the principal diagonal elements. You see the principal diagonal elements. Now, in this matrix, the principal diagonal elements must be selected for any relation to be reflexive. So how many principal diagonal elements are there? If a matrix if a set has 4 elements, you have 4 principal diagonal elements. So these 4 are must. These 4 are must. So you have to select all these, and from the remaining elements, any number of elements can be chosen. From the remaining elements, any number of elements can be chosen. So if A has n elements, then matrix has n square elements. Now principal diagonal contains n elements. So non-principal diagonal elements are n square minus n. Now if I want reflexive relation, total principal diagonal elements must be selected, that is one way, and from the remaining n square minus n elements, we can choose any number of elements. So number of reflexive elements, reflexive relations, number of reflexive relations is equal to number of ways of selecting any number of non-diagonal elements. And if you have a set containing n elements, then the number of ways of selecting any number of elements from these n elements is 2 power n. So this is going to be equal to 2 power n square minus n, that is 2 power n into n minus 1 is the number of reflexive relations which are there on the set containing n elements. Similarly, for a symmetric relation, it is, say if you see, this is number of reflexive relations, please note the point. Then symmetric relations. What is this symmetric relations? Now in this symmetric relations, if an element of principal diagonal above the principal diagonal is selected, that means what? If I want to select 1, 2, then 2, 1 must necessarily be there in the set. If the relation must be symmetric, if 1, 2 is there, then 2, 1 must be there. Now if I select any element from here, then its reflection must be automatically selected. So how many elements are there in the upper half of the principal diagonal? If you see, because non-diagonal elements are n square minus n, half of them will be there in the upper diagonal. So selecting any number of elements in the upper diagonal or in the lower diagonal, which will be the same, half of it, selecting any number of elements in the upper diagonal and selecting any number of elements from the principal diagonal will give you the number of symmetric relations on a set. So if A contains n elements, see number of symmetric relations is equal to number of ways of selecting any number of elements from upper half or lower half of principal diagonal and any number of diagonal elements, any number of diagonal elements. Now you see n square minus n by 2, let me erase this, and you use the formula for the number of symmetric relations, and here, so this is equal to number of ways of selecting any number of elements from upper half of principal diagonal or lower half of principal diagonal. So this is equal to 2 power n square minus n by 2, because upper half contains n square minus n by 2 and any number of elements, into, because the principal diagonal elements, as we have already discussed, there are n elements, number of ways of selecting any number of elements is 2 power n, therefore it is equal to, by theory of indices, n square minus n by 2 plus n, which is equal to 2 power n square minus n plus 2n by 2, which is equal to 2 power n square plus n by 2, that is 2 power n into n plus 1 by 2. This is the number of symmetric relations that can be defined on a set containing n elements. Now coming to the number of equivalence relations, we don't have any formula, direct formula for the number of transitive relations, so we only have directly the number of equivalence relation, and this is given by the Bell's formula. And let us now consider one question, which is question number 23, how to find the number of equivalence relations. Okay, number of equivalence relations. So it is here, the question is, now the question number 23 here, now find the number of equivalence relations, equivalence relations on the set S is equal to A comma B comma C, on the set A comma B comma C. Now if you see, as I have mentioned, the Bell's formula, what is the Bell's formula? It is defined like this, the Bell's formula of number of equivalence relations. So here it is given as, first option it is given as 5, then second option 3 factorial, third option 2 cube, and fourth option is given as 3 cube. Okay, now Bell's formula, it is Bn plus 1 is equal to sigma k is equal to 0 to n nck bk. This is the Bell's formula for the number of equivalence relations where B naught is equal to 1 is equal to B1. Now here in this set we have how many elements? 3 elements. So here n is equal to 3. So here n is equal to 3 and B naught is equal to 1, B1 is equal to also 1. Now we have to find B3, we have to find B2 and then B3. So what is B2? B2 is equal to sigma k is equal to 0 to 1. If it is n plus 1, it is up to n. So if it is 2, it is up to 1. So it is what? 1ck bk, which is equal to 1c naught b naught plus 1c1 b1, and this value is 1 into 1 plus 1 into 1, that is equal to 2. So the number of equivalence relation on a set containing 2 elements is 2, and B3 is equal to sigma k is equal to 0 to 2, 2ck bk. So in view of this formula, this is equal to 2c naught b naught plus 2c1 b1 plus 2c2 b2, which is equal to 1 into 1 plus, here it is 2c1 is 2 into 1 plus 2c2 is 1 into, this is again we have 2. So this is what? 1 plus 2 plus 2, which is equal to 5. This is the Bell's formula to calculate the number of equivalence relations. Okay. Now, so a beautiful formula, otherwise also we can develop, but this formula gives you the direct number which you can calculate to find the number of equivalence relations. Now coming to, we have to know an example of what the relation defined by a given condition is going to be, whether it is symmetric, antisymmetric, equivalence relation or transitive. One very regularly asked example, you should know the counter example also here. So here the question number 26, if you see, question number 26 in the question bank, if you see, let me write here, I hope you noted this. So the 26th question in the question bank. Now here you have the question going like this. The question is, if A is 1, 2, 3, then minimum number of elements to be adjoined in the relation so that the relation may become transitive. So here it is given A is equal to 1, 2, 3 and R is equal to 1, 2, 1, 1 and 2, 3. This is the relation given. Now how many elements are to be added so that it may become transitive? How many elements to be added to make it transitive. Now if you see, A is 1, 2, 3. Now I would like to, here the options are given, say given as here 0, 1, 2, 3. Now I would like to consider for the solution, I would like to consider this matrix 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3. Now if you consider what elements are given in the relation, 1, 1 is given, 1, 2 is given and 2, 3 is given. As I said, here he is asking to make it transitive, what should be added. Now here if you see 1, 2 is there, 2, 3 is there, so I should add 1, 3. 1, 3, this element if I add. So 1, 2, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 2, 3 means 1, 3 must be there. This should be added. 1, 3 must be added. So since 1, 2, 2, 3 belong to R, if I want to make it transitive, 1, 3 must belong to R. So therefore now I have to add 1, 3 to make it transitive. Now similarly, if I want to make it symmetric, what? If I want to make it equivalence relation, what should be added? If you see, because 1, 2 is there, if you want to make it symmetric, for 1, 2, 2, 1 must be added. For 1, 3, 3, 1 must be added. This should be done to make it the symmetric relation. Similarly, if you want to make it the equivalence relation, remaining all elements must be added so as to make it equivalence relation. Now here let us consider first the problem of finding the domains and ranges of few functions. In the question bank, if you consider question number 38, domain of a function. Question number 38, domain of a function. Now here, see, you can be asked any type of function. Maybe it is trigonometric, algebraic, or any complex number oriented function also we can take. Now here if you see, the function is defined as, the question is, now f of x is equal to 1 by root of fractional part of sin x plus fractional part of sin of pi plus x. Sin of pi plus x. If f of x, then domain of f of x is. Domain of f of x is. Now there are 4 options given. Now let us see what is domain first thing. We call that part of real numbers as domain of a function where this function is well defined. Now in the beginning we decide that entire real number is our domain, and we will try to see if there is any problem with any part of the total real numbers. Now there are 2 methods of finding the domain of a function. Direct method wherein you find where is it defined, or indirect method where you find the non-defined region and remove from the real line. Now here if you see fractional part of x, let us take here first what is meant by fractional part of x. Fractional part of x is equal to x minus step x, and this belongs to 0, 1, this we know. Fractional part of x. And also what do we have? Fractional part of x is equal to, it is equal to 0 when x belongs to integers, and it is equal to 1 when x belongs to non-integers. The fractional part of x is 0 when x is an integer, and non-integer, if x is non-integer, it is equal to 1. Why 0? When it is integer, the fractional part is 0 itself. Now here, if you see sin x and sin pi plus x, what do we know? Sin of pi plus x. Sin of pi plus x. I'm sorry here, fractional part. Here, 1 minute. Let me continue here. This one is about fractional part. Now here, first let us discuss what is sin of pi plus x. Sin of pi plus x is equal to minus sin x. Okay, sin of pi plus x is equal to minus sin x. So according to this, the fractional part of x plus fractional part of minus x, this is what I would like to say. Fractional part of x plus fractional part of minus x, this is 0, sorry, fractional part of x is only belongs to 0, 1. But now here, according to this formula, this will reduce to this format. Fractional part of x and fractional part of minus x, this is 0 when x belongs to z and 1 when x does not belong to z. Now in view of this, what happens to this one? Now denominator sin x plus step of minus sin x. This is what we have in the denominator of f of x under square root. So here f of x is defined if and only if. F of x is defined if and only if this does not happen. So it should be greater than or equal to 0, and because it is under root and in the denominator, it should not be here 0. So should not be equal to 0. F of x is defined if and only if this is not equal to 0. Now when is it step x, the fractional part of x and fractional part of minus x equal to 0? If you observe, x is an integer. So therefore f of x is defined if and only if sin x is not an integer. Not an integer means what? Implies sin x is not equal to minus 1 or 1 or 0. Minus 1, 1, because in the range of sin x, minus 1, 1, 0 are the only integers. Therefore, if we remove these values for which the sin theta is minus 1, 1, 0, then the remaining thing is the domain of the given function. So this implies x should not be equal to, x is not equal to, when is sin theta minus 1 multiple of 90. Here also 1 or minus 1, it is multiple of 90. 0 when it is multiple of 180. On the whole, I can say it is n pi by 2 for all n belonging to z. So what is the domain of f? Domain of f is equal to set of all x such that x is not equal to n pi by 2, or I can say r minus n pi by 2 such that n belongs to z. This is the domain of the function f of x is equal to 1 by root of fractional part of sin x plus fractional part of sin pi plus x. Similarly, fractional part of sin x plus fractional part of sin pi plus x we have calculated. Similarly, the other question which I would like to consider for finding the domain. I hope it is very much clear whatever I have explained. The basic concept, this is what you have to remember, that this is equal to 0, this is equal to 1 when x is integer and non-integer. That is the concept we have applied to find the domain of the function. Now here, let us consider the next question on finding the domain of the function. The question number 43, if you see, question number 43. What is given? What is given? F of x, or he has given the domain. What is the domain of the function? Set of values of x belonging to R. The question is set of values of x for which, okay, x belonging to R for which e power 1 by x minus 1 less than 1. E power 1 by x minus 1 less than 1. There are 4 options given. Now here this question mainly I have selected because there is a very common mistake which most of the students do. Now what they do generally, you take, see, e power 1 by x minus 1 less than 1 means I can write e power 0. The general mistake is we write 1 by x minus 1 less than 0, which means 1 by x is less than 1 or implies x is greater than 1, and you end up 1 to infinity, but this is wrong. We should not consider directly like this. Then what is that we should do here? What are the actual values of x? That 1 comma infinity is also there in the options, but that is not completely the answer. You have along with it minus infinity comma 0 also in the given options. Now where does it go? How did we miss it? If you see, actually what we have to do is, whenever, see, actually we have to do 1 by x minus 1 less than 0. This implies 1 minus x by x is less than 0. 1 minus x by x, or you have to write x minus 1 by x is greater than 0 upon multiplying with it. And here this implies whenever a by b is positive, a into b is also positive. This implies x minus 1 into x is also greater than 0, that is x minus 0 into x minus 1 greater than 0. And now you see, using the Wavy curve, this is 0, this is 1. Now always we know according to the Wavy curve, this is positive, here is negative, here is positive. According to this, greater than 0 means what? It is greater than 0 means positive. So from here to here and from here to here. Therefore, our domain of here is equal to, what is it? Minus infinity comma 0 union 1 comma infinity. 1 comma infinity, according to the options given in your booklet, it is a second option. So this is what? It is not just 1 comma infinity. You have to consider this concept and use the Wavy concept, Wavy theory concept to find the domain of here in such cases. Right. Let us move on to the next question as to, now, what is the range? This question I have taken from the recently concluded JEE main session, 8th January session. and he has given the function like this. Okay, let me write the question there. Here he has given f is, this is 8th Jan session, f of x, f is defined from 1, 3 to r, and f of x is equal to x step of x by 1 plus x square, x step of x by 1 plus x square. Then what is the range of x? Range of f is dash. Range of f is what? This is the question given here. Now here we have step x. Now fractional part of x, step x, modulus x, these are the concepts which generally any examiner would like to ask. These are the regions where people feel complicated, and you have to learn this properly. Now step x is a greatest integer function which will take the greatest integer less than or equal to x. Now here we are given only the interval 1, 3. So let us define what is our f of x properly. What is given? F of x is equal to x step of x by 1 plus x square. What is this equal to? Our domain is 1, 3 only. Step x changes at every integer. That means between 1 to 3, 2 is the integer in between. So I have to take 1 less than x less than 2, and the other region is 2 less than or equal to x less than 3. 1 is not included, here open interval is there. Similarly 3 is not included because it is open interval. Now between 1 and 2, step x takes value 1. So our function will be x by 1 plus x square. X by 1 plus x square. Similarly between 2 and 3, step x takes value 2. It is 2x by 1 plus x square. 2x by 1 plus x square. Now if you see, for 1 less than, see 1 less than x less than 2 implies what you have, see f of x, if you take f of x is a decreasing function. F of x is if you take f of 1 is equal to 1 by 2 and f of 2 is equal to 2 by 5. So 2 by 5, so f of x is decreasing function. F of x is a decreasing function. So what is that we have? So this implies f of 1 is greater than, f of x is greater than f of 2. Similarly in the other interval also, similarly, now for 2 less than or equal to x less than 3, f of 2 is greater than or equal to f of x greater than f of 3. Now what is that? F of 2, we have seen already, it is 2 by 5, and here it is what? F of 2, sorry, here in this case 2 2s are 4 by 5. 4 by 5 greater than or equal to f of x, 2 3s are 6 plus 10, 6 by 10, so 3 by 5. So we have what? Therefore f of x belongs to, here what do we have? 2 by 5, 1 by 2, 2 by 5, 1 by 2. So 2 by 5 comma 1 by 2 union 2 by 5 comma 1 by 2 union. This one is what? Union. This is 3 by 5 and 4 by 5. 3 by 5, 4 by 5, 3 by 5, and this is 4 by 5 included. 4 by 5, this is closed bracket because 4 by 5 is included. So therefore the domain, the range of the function according to the domain is 2 by 5 comma half union 3 by 5 comma 4 by 5.